How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk more about the minimum wage. I've spoken about it before. I said that when you raise minimum wage to $15, a ridiculous amount, you're going to have job loss. You may have some guys that get a little bit more money, but at the end of it, you're going to have job loss. You're going to have inflation. You're going to have negative effects from raising the minimum wage that far outweigh anything that you could get positive from it. Now, there's one guy in Congress by the name of Ro Khanna, a Democratic House rep, who said the quiet part about the minimum wage increase out loud. Now, before I go any further, let's go ahead and roll that clip. In this clip, you'll see and hear what he said with your own two eyes. You'll hear it in context. So it's not just me taking the clip out of context and trying to make him look bad. No, you're going to hear the full context and you're going to hear exactly what he said out of his own mouth. After we get done watching that, I'll come back. I'll talk about what he said. Then I'll give you my 2 cents, my deep detail analysis. And then I'll wrap it on up with a nice bow on top. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
Of course, large businesses like Amazon and McDonald's, for example, can and perhaps should pay more. But I'm wondering, what is your plan for smaller businesses? How does this, in your view, affect mom and pop businesses who are just struggling to keep their doors open, keep workers on the payroll right now?
Well, they shouldn't be doing it by paying people low wages. We don't want low-wage businesses. I think most successful small businesses can pay a fair wage. If you look at the minimum wage, it increased with worker productivity until 1968, and that relationship was severed. If workers were actually getting paid for the value they were creating, it would be up to $23. So I love small businesses. I'm all for it. But I don't want small businesses that are underpaying employees. It's fair for people to be making what they're producing. And I think $15 is very reasonable in this country.
All right, so you heard that, you saw that. Now, that right there is what I've been saying for a while. And a lot of people on the left have been saying this kind of quietly, kind of on Twitter and whatnot, but not anybody with a big megaphone to be on CNN talking about this. What did he say? What was the main thing that he said? Hey, if you're underperforming, you can't afford the minimum wage, we don't want you. What does that really mean? What does it actually mean for the average everyday normie out there trying to get a job? Hey, if you're living in an area where there's not a whole lot of employment, not a whole lot of money, it's a poor area, and your business cannot afford to pay $15, then I don't care if you get fired. I don't care if you're a small business owner and you're trying to make something happen. I don't care if you lose your business. So what? You must adhere to our standards or you can't even work or have a business. All right. Now, that's a really elitist ivory tower way of looking at things. Not everyone has buckets of money. All right. Not every business owner is filthy rich, because that's what it comes down to. Big bank, ain't little bank. All right. If I am Walmart, then I can afford to pay my employees a certain amount of money, 15 or whatever it is. You know, it might cost me $1 billion, but so what? I got 15 billion profit after my like 500 billion in revenue, right? So I can afford to pay an extra billion. Yeah, it'll cut into the bottom line, but I can do it. When you're talking about a mom and pop shop, they can't afford that. Okay, you got a mom and dad with their kids in there trying to eke out a living, barely making it, barely able to survive. And you're telling them, hey, we don't want you. We don't want you if you can't afford to pay the money. All right. And I've been saying this for a long time. He knows that you're not going to have everyone that's going to be able to make it. Not everyone will be able to meet that very high standard. OK, because that's what it is a very high standard. This is why the Biden administration does not want to put the $15 an hour on the books right away. They want to do it over a period of time. They're going to reach $15 an hour by 2025. Why not right now? If it's so good and it's going to be a big boom for the economy and it'll quote unquote lift people out of poverty. If it's so good, why not do it right now? Why not go from the minimum of $7.25 an hour on the federal level to 15 and have that apply to every single state, regardless of what you do, tip to employees. It doesn't really matter. Everybody right now, because they know that's going to cause job loss. Ro Khanna just said it right there on television. It's going to cause job loss. So rather than having a job loss happen right away, it happened over a period of time. It'd be a gradual job loss. And what are they going to say when confronted with the job loss? Oh, It's a previous administration. They had a terrible economy. Things were falling off the cliff, all this, that, and the third. When we all know the virus is what caused the economy to shift, right? It wasn't the administration. It wasn't Trump. It wasn't him. Okay. It is the virus. And then when you have negative policy on the books like raising minimum wage, $15, you're going to just enhance what was happening from the virus. You're not going to be able to recover. We're getting to the point where we're like Idiocracy. If you ever seen that movie, it's really good. No ad here. I'm just saying you should watch it because it kind of illustrates what's happening right now. People are becoming dumber and corporations are taking more control of everything. It got to the point in Idiocracy where if you wanted to shop for anything, you went to one giant mega mart. Everything was like just right in there. And people were so dumb at this particular point in society that there was no maintenance done. Rather than having some kind of sophisticated, high-flying super Walmart, it was like the husk of a gigantic mega millions Walmart that turned into a bazaar. I'm talking about the roof was gone. You got nature coming in there, trees growing in there. It was a whole big mess. That's what we're getting to, because when you have these very high taxes, very high regulations, very high rules, and all this stuff that makes it very expensive to get into business, all you're going to be able to have are Amazon, Walmart, Target, the big dogs. They're going to be the only ones that can make it. Walmart will publicize the fact that they're going to have a higher minimum wage. Why? Because it puts pressure on the small guys from a legislative point of view. Oh, okay, well, Walmart can do it. Why can't you do it, Mr. Small Business? A guy that has like $10,000 in his account, 10 grand to his name, trying to start a business. If you can't do Mr. 10 grand, then so what? You don't deserve it. We don't want you. We don't want you. And we, in this sense, Rokana was talking about the government. We don't want you, very small business. We want you to pretty much be a serf, be a servant, be a peasant in our system. And you're going to be beholden to the Walmart, Target, Amazon, the big dogs, okay? They want government control and big corporation control. I mean, it makes sense because you got these big corporations that have lobbyists in DC. They don't really care about the average normie trying to make a living for himself. They care about themselves. They care about their own bottom line and the shareholders and all that kind of stuff. All right. So this is why you don't want to have a very high minimum wage. People say, oh, nah, ABL doesn't cause job loss. It's been plenty of job loss. They did it in Seattle, same thing, Seattle. They did it over there. There's plenty of studies on this. It causes job loss. This is not a good thing to do. And also, don't forget about the automation, all right? Rather than having a human being, if you got a small business trying to eke out a living that Rokana does not even want to see survive, they're going to resort to offshoring stuff, Indian call centers in the Philippines, China, maybe even. They'll resort to using cheaper products, cheaper food sources that could be potentially dangerous food sources, automation. Rather than having 3 or 4 employees, human beings working the job as a cashier or whatever, they put a machine in there. If it makes more sense over a period of time, it may cost more in upfront costs to be able to purchase the machine, but overall, it would be a cost saver. Once you look at the wages going to $15, doubling the wage that they can't afford, okay, they could pay that machine just one-time fee to get there, and then they can have a service contract with probably the same company they bought the machine from. They come in there every now and again to service it. They'll push software updates to it from a remote location. That'll be how it goes. So the very high minimum wage to a person that's uneducated about the situation that may work minimum wage, it looks great. Oh, I get a raise. They're going to cut your hours, or they might cut your job to the point where you're going to be missing your job. You might be at a job right now getting $10 an hour. You living in a small town. You bringing that money back home where there's other wage earners. You might have roommates. Everything is good. You're starting your life off. You know, 18, 19 years old. Everything's fine. But then when they raise the wage, $15, all of a sudden your job is gone. You can't afford to live in the spot with your roommates. The roommates lost their job. Now you got to go back home to mommy and daddy, and you get to be 25, 26, just now trying to get job skills and training and whatnot. But you could have been doing that from age 16 to 14 with a work permit if the wages were low enough. As I close, I want to say this. You got guys in the street doing things they shouldn't be doing because there's no other jobs available. Now, I'm not saying there's an excuse for doing wrong, but it makes it easier. Okay, there's no jobs available, nothing around. It's easy for a kid that might not even really be involved in the street life, that might not be a thug or nothing like that, just fall right into it. Okay, and then when they're on the news for getting shot, killed due to a robbery from their illegal activity, then it's, oh, well, we got to do something. Well, your policies aren't helping. When I say vote Republican, vote conservative, I don't really mean what can the government help me with? What can they do for me? What can they give me? It's about really kind of getting out of the way, having less rules, less regulation to allow the free market to truly be a free market rather than having guys like Ro Khanna being king and queen makers. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Do you think that what Ro Khanna said makes sense? Hey, if you can't afford the minimum wage, $15, and we don't want you, we don't need you, go ahead and quit. Go ahead and fire your employees. Go ahead and go broke. Go ahead and go on the street. And as a matter of fact, when you sell your business, go work for Walmart, Target, Amazon, one of the big dogs. Work for the big corporations that lobby us in Washington, D.C. to do things for them and not for you. Whatever your thoughts on that are, let me know in the comments below. Am I right? Am I wrong? I think I'm right. I don't really think that anybody can have a legitimate argument against what I'm saying. The guy Ro Khanna, who is probably my arch nemesis when you're talking about politics, at least, agrees with what I'm saying. He said the quiet part out loud. So if I'm wrong, then Ro Khanna must also be wrong. And if we are on opposite sides of the spectrum, then both of those things can't be correct. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.